I'm Josh with the City of Waupaca. I'm here with our first community update of the year. And Ron, for you, I had a friend text me Monday evening. He said, Waupaca is not the only school closed for Tuesday's snowstorm. What's going on? I said
But
to
we
him, our
were the only.
superintendent's from the UP. So, but seriously, Ron, what goes into this? That was the first closing of the year. What goes into making that decision?
A friend texted you and said, "Why is Waupaca the only school district that hasn't closed the day ahead of time?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, there are different schools of thought and philosophies. I've been doing this for 17 years and making these kind of decisions. I made some mistakes, obviously. I remember one year, uh, I made a call the day before. A lot of other places were. We did too. And when I woke up the next day, it was sunny and we just had a dusting. The weather impact that was predicted didn't happen. It went either a little south or north or however it was. So, boy, I took a beating, and I learned that, it's better to make that decision when you have all the information, and that day ahead of time isn't necessarily. Sometimes it's a no-brainer, but other times it just makes sense to get more data. So like what was going through our minds. Well, for instance, okay, so let's just look at Tuesday. I got up, I don't know, 2 o'clock. Where I lived, there still wasn't any snow coming down. About 3 o'clock, the dusting started. 3:50, I got up at 4 o'clock. The National Weather Service had a session for all the superintendents in the state. Watched that, went for a ride, drove around, saw that there was ice underneath that dusting, and the snow was still coming. And there was a car in the ditch I saw on Highway 10. Got back home, spoke to Go Right Way, our transportation vendor. They had already gone and checked out the routes, or not all the routes, but checked out different roads, I should say, and entrances to the highway and in town and in the country. And we worked together to make a determination at that point. It's based on that information that it was better for us to go to a snow day, or it's not really a snow day anymore. It's a remote
Remote learning
learning day.
day.
Yeah, it's a remote learning day because we have to get so many hours of instruction in. And so, anyway, so that's how that went about. But, there's so many variables. There's no formula because some people ask, well, how many inches does it take? And why are these other districts doing what they're doing? And, every school district has their own culture. Some, they'll cancel if there's snowflakes in the forecast, and others don't. And, you said, yeah, I'm from the UP, and I remember one time we had 22 inches and we didn't even do a delay. Every area has their own little culture, and I know we're in a northern climate. We're in central Wisconsin, and we are going to have snow on the ground, and we can't cancel every time there's snow on the ground. So you got to weigh that, knowing that this was probably our first weather impacted school day of the year. That's another issue, and we are aware that other districts have made decisions. And if they didn't, we're in communication with them the day before and the day of the event if they haven't made a decision yet. And like I mentioned earlier about the National Weather Service, they're providing us, it didn't used to be this way, but when in a weather event's coming, I'll get a couple different opportunities the day before and that morning of getting information from those meteorologists briefing us in different areas, and we have the opportunity to ask questions too. And then you have to look at the timing, when it's predicted to hit, when the most impact is going to be, are we able to get the students home to beat this, or are we not, depending on what the weather is going to hit. We try to make all of our decisions. Like on Tuesday, we needed to make it before 5:30. That's kind of our time frame there. We don't want to make a decision after 5:30, so we always try to make it ahead of time. And of course, those road conditions are important, but parents all and guardians need to know they are the final decision maker. If a parent says, I still think the roads aren't good enough, the parents can keep their children home on those days. They don't have to send them on the bus or drive them to school if that's the way they go. Parents always have that option to keep their children home if they don't feel it's safe enough to be transported to school. So that's some of the thought that goes into it. And I just want to also one thing. Today is Wednesday, and we obviously we have school. We're in person, but this morning, Channel 5 News had on their screen that Waupaca was closed today, that we had remote learning, and that wasn't accurate. We're looking into how that got put on their screen. I don't think it's possible anymore for a student or somebody to make that kind of call to radios and weather stations. I think we have enough safeguards, but it wasn't accurate information. I just want the community and parents and students to know that if that call is being made where we're making that kind of a significant change, we use Infinite Campus. It's a student database, and they have robocalls, and we do what we call the IC blast, the Infinite Campus blast. And I get a phone call, I get a text message, and I get an email message when those decisions are made. And parents can have one of them, both, two, or all three notifications. Those are the official notifications. So just in case we're in a situation like this, what happened today was this Channel 5 News put that out there. Other radio stations watched it, saw that, and then they were putting it on the radio. So then we're calling these radio stations and telling them that's not accurate information. Please redact that, please. So I just remind everybody, it is an IC blast when it's official. If you don't get an IC blast and something's up there, it's very likely isn't going to be correct. The first thing that we do is the IC blast that goes out. They find out before the weather stations and the news media. So hopefully this doesn't happen again. If it does, we may just depend on the IC blast, but we also know there are other people in the community that want to be in the know, and they may only find out through the news media. So anyway, I just wanted to make that clarification, Josh.
I appreciate the whole explanation, what you went through to make the decision, because people maybe don't realize that or think about the work that goes into that.
Yeah, you're up through the night and you're wondering what's going on. And I knew that, that night that we were getting like a freezing rain type of thing that came down, and it coated the driveway and the roads. So I anticipated that wouldn't get salted, but you just never know. Maybe the trucks would take care of that ahead of time, but on Tuesday it didn't. And with that little bit of snow on top, it was pretty slippery. And so yeah, there's no formula. It just takes patience, time, good judgment, the best you can, communicating with other people. Like in our case, Go Right Way is a valuable resources. They're going out and doing their checking too, and the other districts around. So it's time consuming.
Well, we're past Christmas. People that have live Christmas trees are probably looking for the opportunity to get rid of those soon. And there's one good opportunity coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, so Rotary does it every year, Josh, and this year they're doing it this Saturday. People can put their Christmas trees, if you live in the city, in the area between the sidewalk and the curb, if you have that in your neighborhood. Otherwise, just put it kind of in the right of way there, off the street, please. Don't put it in the street. And Rotary will come around and they'll pick it up, and it would be very appreciated. They do it as a little fundraiser. So if you're home, you may expect to knock on the door and ask for maybe a little donation. And if you're not home, like I will not be, unfortunately, maybe stick an envelope with a couple bucks in it in the door. So it's a great service. I know it's really convenient for me in the city. I hope everyone else takes advantage of it. So.
Good. And then we'll keep jumping along here. The city has a part-time opening for a deputy clerk that will work about 20 hours a week. Applications are being accepted now. And Aaron, I'll let you talk a little more about that position.
Yeah, so our deputy clerk position, we did a little rearranging in this year's budget in 2024. And we brought the grant position on as a full-time position. And we transitioned down our deputy clerk about the about a year now. And we felt like we could meet our needs in that department with a part-time position. So it'll be about 20 hours a week. We'll provide assistance to the clerk in all those duties. They will be working heavier hours during elections, which we have a lot of elections this year. One thing last year, and probably one of the big reasons we were able to go without that position or any semblance of that position in 2023 is because we were very light on elections and no big elections. So anyway, there is information on how to apply on our city website under employment. If you have any questions, call City Hall. We'll be happy to answer those questions. I think the best person to do that would be Barb Nowak. She is our current clerk, and she will be the direct supervisor for this position. So come join what we think is a great team at the City of Waupaca. We'd love to have you.
And for someone thinking of relocating to the City of Waupaca, there's a new website that just debuted.
Yeah, this is something that we've been working on together, the city and the school district and the Chamber of Commerce. And you know, Ron and I and Terry at the Chamber were fortunate enough to sit in about a year ago, or maybe a little more now, in a grant committee allocation type of meeting. And the Waupaca Area Community Foundation funded this project. And we talked about the importance of our community growing if we want to continue to maintain services at the current levels, if we want to continue to keep tax dollars as low as possible, and if we want to have a vibrant local economic picture here. And part of that is getting people to move here. So we were able to work with Civic Brand, who's a company that helped us with our whole branding campaign, which I'm sure everyone has seen all over the place, and create a website that we can take some of our marketing efforts and kind of drive people to this website. And it tells about our great school district, our great facilities, our great services, our great quality of life amenities, the amount of parks we have, the natural lakes, the rivers, the outdoor activities, the state park out our backyard. It tells about some housing opportunities and some future plans for housing developments. Anything you could probably think about having an interest in and wanting information on, we try to get on this website. There are a few things, you know, it just went live a week or so ago. Of course, as soon as it goes live and then you get some people to look at it, we got some great feedback. I think we're going to make some minor tweaks, and it'll always be tweaked to make sure it's updated. But I think it's a great representation of our area, and we're so thankful that the Community Foundation supported it, and we'll be able to use it, and it'll make a difference.
And what's the address for that website for someone that wants to check it out?
www.wearewaupaca.com.
We'll jump back over to Ron. It's the end of the first semester. Those first semester classes are wrapping up. You're kind of heading into the second of the school year, and I know you want to speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. You know, it's the beginning of the year, so beginning of a little bit of celebration over the past calendar year of some positive things that we've done. And, you know, the beginning of the year is also the end of the first semester. So Friday the 19th, next week Friday, is when our semester ends, and some students are hurrying right now to make up some work. I know I have a student that is doing that, and he shouldn't have, because he should have been more prepared. But that's the way that's rolling. And at this time, it's also a time for our students, at least in, you know, the secondary, where they're signing up for classes for next school year already. We start that process very early, and now is that time. And so we're already thinking and planning for the 24-25 school year through those course selections. Yeah, it's been a good year. We're getting good feedback from students.
Very good. And at that halfway mark, that means we're looking forward till summer already, right?
The sunlight keeps increasing, Josh, and pretty soon it's going to be summer.
And then we'll jump back over to Aaron. The past couple of years, the city has published and mailed out a calendar to all residents, and that didn't happen this year.
It didn't, and we've got a lot of questions, haven't we, Josh? We found out just how much people appreciated that calendar. I'll give a little background as to why it didn't go out this year. Printing costs, this was much earlier in 2023, found out that printing costs went up. I mean, it was approximately like 50% when talking about printing it and sending it out. And then just looking at our budgets, it just felt like that was not something that fit within our budgeted amounts. As we got closer to Christmas, we heard a lot of people saying, "Hey, what the heck? Those calendars were so nice. It was awesome having something that I could keep on my fridge that showed city meeting dates, that showed garbage pickup schedules, that showed event dates, information on building permits, information on expectations on sidewalk shoveling, all of that, right? It was a good resource, to your credit, Josh, for putting that together. And then, Josh, you and I talked and we said, well, it seems like a need. Can we do it in a way that does fit within our budgeted amount? And we ended up printing off, remind me how many we ended up printing off?
We've have 500 copies being printed.
500 copies being printed. Those will be at various city locations, library, rec center, city hall. Primarily.
So we're recording this interview, depending upon when you're watching it. We record this on Wednesday, and I got word that the printing's done, and then they got to do the stapling and assembling of them. So I would suspect, and we'll put it on Facebook and the website when they're ready, but within a day or two, having them for pickup. We'll have them at City Hall, the library, senior center, and rec center.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, those available for those who want it. In some ways, this might make more sense. It's kind of a trial run for us. We'll see how many go. Although a lot of people voice their opinion on how much they appreciated it, you don't know how many go from the mail right into the garbage too. So in trying to be budget responsible here, we're trying a couple different things, but credit to you, Josh. Obviously people love the resource and it is still an option, just in a different manner this year.
And it's only going to be 2 weeks late into the new year, so we're not too far out. So
right.
Well, Ron, Aaron, appreciate the time. Happy New Year to get our first update out for the community, and we will talk again soon.
Josh.